Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. So, okay, please open your video. Those are interested. If possible, only 12 devotees. Okay. Okay, understandable. So, we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, second chapter. So, now definition of Atma, soul. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयो पुराण न हन्यते हन्यमानेश्वरी. No, never jayate. Jayate takes birth. Jayo one what's come from Janma. Jayate takes birth. Mriyate dies. Ba. Either. Kadachit. Here, who can give the answer here? Kadachit and here Kadachin. Why? Which one is mistake? Here is there is Kadachin. Why this mistake? Who can give the answer? Anyone? Which one is it? Kadachit or Kadachin? Both are correct. Why? Sandhi becomes yes. Kadachit to Kadachit half to turn into no. Kadachit means sometimes. But when Kadachit, Kadachit then no. Then no jayate mriyate ba Kadachit nayam no. Then no become double. So it's like Srimat Mahaprabhu, Sriman Mahaprabhu. The same way Srimat Bhagavad Gita. Mat to become do. Srimat Bhagavad Gita. Now in Sandhi, do become Srimat Bhagavad Gita. If you separately say Srimat Bhagavad Gita, but together Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Kadachit, if you read this half line, then you have to read Kadachit. Na jayate mriyate ba Kadachit. But when there's Shandish, Kadachit and Nayam, as N is there, that is why T become N. You can in Hindi, Sanskrit, Kadachit and No. This is why this hyphen? Because this is both are in one line. Kadachit at any time. Past, present, future. No, never. This. Not even telling, not telling about soul. This. We are taking, Krishna is talking about something. He is not mentioning the name of this Atma. He's telling about something. This Buddha having come into being. Buddha. Buddha means having come into being. And Bhavita having come into being, and Bhavita will come to be. Buddha means in the past. Bhavita means the future. Ba or no, not. Bhuyo or is again coming to be. Aja, unborn. Nitya, eternal. Shashwata, permanent. Ayam, this. Puranaha, the oldest. No, never. Honnote, skilled. Honnamane, being killed. Honnote, Honnamane. Honnote, skilled. Honnamane, being killed. Sharire, the body. So there is something in the body. Body can be killed, but that cannot be killed. It it is not so important that you have to tell that is Atma, but you have to believe that something is there. That is most focus. It is not that we have to establish that name is Atma. That is not important, but important is that there is something beyond this body. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. This is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. While the small atomic fragmental part of this Supreme Spirit is one with the Supreme. He undergoes no changes like the body. Sometimes the soul is called the steady or kutastha. Kutastha means steady. The body is subject to 6 kinds of transformation. It takes its birth from the womb of the mother's body, remains for some time, grows, produces byproducts, some effects, gradually dwindles, and at last vanishes into oblivion. The soul, however, does not go through such changes. The soul is not born, but because it takes on a material body, the body takes its birth. The soul does not take birth there, and the soul does not die. Anything which has birth also has death. And because the soul has no birth, he therefore has no past, present, or future. He is eternal, ever existing, and primeval. That is, there is no trace in history of his coming into being. That is called anadi, beginningless. Under the impression of the body, we seek the history of birth, etc. of the soul. The soul does not at any time become old as the body does. The so-called old man therefore feels himself to be in the same spirit as in his childhood or youth. The changes of the body do not affect the soul. The soul does not deteriorate like a tree, nor anything material. The soul has no byproduct either. The byproducts of the body, namely children, are also different individual souls. And owing to the body, they appear as children of a particular man. The body develops because of the soul's presence, but the soul has neither offshoots nor chains. Therefore, the soul is free from the 6 senses of the body. In the Katha Upanishad, we also find a similar passage which reads, Na jayate mriyate va viposchin, nayam kutoschin, na bhutta kadachit, ajo nitya shashvatayam purano, na hunnate hunnamane sharire. The meaning and purport of this verse is the same as in the Bhagavad Gita. But here in this verse, there is one special word, viposchit, which means learned or with knowledge. So here, one word is extra. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit, here viposchit. Viposchit means learned. Na jayate mriyate va viposchit. The soul is full of knowledge or full, always with consciousness. Therefore, consciousness is the symptom of the soul. Even if one does not find the soul within the heart, where it is situated, one can still understand the presence of the soul simply by the presence of consciousness. Sometimes we do not find the sun in the sky, owing to clouds or for some other reason, but the light of the sun is always there, and we are convinced that it is therefore daytime. As soon as there is a little light in the sky, early in the morning, we can understand that the sun is in the sky. Similarly, since there is some consciousness in all bodies, whether man or animal, we can understand the presence of the soul. This consciousness of the soul is, however, different from the consciousness of the Supreme, because the Supreme Consciousness is all knowledge, past, present, and future. The consciousness of the individual soul is prone to be forgetful. So here, one important thing to understand, how you can understand what is there in the presence of soul. The soul is there. Three things we understand: inert substance, soul, and super soul. There, with the example of sun, is with sunlight, we can understand the presence of light. Presence of, by seeing the light, we can understand the presence of sun in the sky. In same way, by knowing the presence of consciousness, you can understand the presence of soul. Now, another thing, there are two types of soul: one soul, super soul, and individuals. Difference is that as it is minute, that is forgetful, and as supreme soul, never forget. So three level of understanding: no consciousness, little consciousness, full consciousness. No consciousness, inert matter; little consciousness, soul; and full consciousness, never forgetful, super soul. When he is forgetful of his real nature, he obtains education and enlightenment from the superior lesson of Krishna. But Krishna is not like the forgetful soul. If so, Krishna's teachings of Bhagavad Gita would be useless. Not only he is not forgetful, he gave the knowledge 5,000 years ago, still it is fresh. Material scientists cannot understand. Some knowledge is like this. 5,000 years ago, there is not change. At the same time, it is not difficult to understand. If you also explain the same subject matter, so our discussion will be also that like a permanent. Therefore, two kinds of souls, namely the minute particle soul, Anu Atma, and the super soul, Vibhu. This is also confirmed in Katha. Here we can see Krishna. So Prabhupada is telling about Atma here, because those are reading Bhagavad Gita, they'll understand his subject matter of Atma. But Krishna is very tactful, not describing the name of Atma. In the same way, you can see in Prabhupada's first book, Is he into other planets? Prabhupada there also, he said, matter, antimatter. There he never used that word spirit or spirit soul, because materialists only know matter. And to make them understand, Prabhupada give the word spirit is antimatter. If you tell them soul matter, they will not understand. They understand only matter, that is we should explain them antimatter. In Kathopanishad says that honor oniyam mahato mahya. Honor oniyam. Mahato is smaller than the smallest. Mahato mahya, greater than the greatest. Atmasya jantu nihita guhaya. Atmasya jantur nihita guhaya. Jantu means living entity. Not only jantu, only an animal. Human being also jantu. Why is it guhaya? In the cave. Heart is compared to guha, cave. Tam akortu pashyati vitashoko. Dhatu prasadan mahimanam atmanah. Both the super soul and the atomic soul are situated on the same tree of the body within the same heart of the living being. And only one has become free from all material desires as well as lamentation can, by the grace of the Supreme, understand the glories of the soul. Tam akortu pashyati pita shoko. Super soul is not doing just, he is just anumanta, upadrashta, pita shoko. He is free from any type of lamentation. Krishna is the fountainhead of the super soul also. Krishna is super soul, but another word to clarify. Who is super soul? But he is a fountainhead of the super soul. As it will be disclosed in the following chapters, and Arjuna is the atomic soul, forgetful of his real nature. Therefore, he requires to be enlightened by Krishna or by his bona fide representative, the spiritual master. That's all. Veda vinashinam nityam jayanam ajamabhayam katham na purusham partha kam ghatanti hanti kam. Veda knows. Avinashinam, indestructible. Nityam, always existing. Ja, one who. Enam, this soul. Ajam, unborn. Apam, immutable. Gautam, how? Sure that. Purusha, person. Partha, Apartha. Come, whom? Ghatayati, causes to hurt. Anti, kills, come, whom? Apartha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable like anyone, or cause anyone to kill anyone? Everything has its proper utility. And a man who is situated in complete knowledge knows how and where to apply a thing for its proper utility. Similarly, violence also has its utility. How to apply violence rests with the person in knowledge. Very powerful statement. Violence has a utility. Where to apply? Although the justice of the peace awards capital punishment to a person condemned for murder, the justice of the peace cannot be blamed because he orders violence to another person according to the court's justice. So here a nice example is given. So when judge gives a judgment to kill someone, that is violence. Yes, violence also required. Very crude example where violence is required. People may say, oh, what June is furnished violence was there. But in practical life, this is a court's judgment, violence, but it is required. In Manusya Gita, the law book for mankind, it is supported that a murderer should be condemned to death so that in his next life he will not have to suffer for the great sin he has committed. Therefore, the king's punishment of hanging a murderer is actually beneficial. Similarly, when Krishna orders fighting, it must be concluded that violence is for supreme justice, and thus Arjun should follow the instruction. Knowing well that such violence committed in the act of fighting for Krishna is not violence at all, because at any rate the man, or rather the soul, cannot be killed. So for the administration of justice, so-called violence is permitted. A surgical operation is not meant to kill the patient, but to cure him. Therefore, the fighting to be executed by Arjuna at the instruction of Krishna is with full knowledge, so there is no possibility of sinful reaction. So two examples. One is court judgment, another is doctor's operation, surgeon's operation. This won't be violence, you are cutting someone's body. But where we should use the knife for killing or survival. Then, very difficult to understand all these things. That is why it needs a crude example. Here is example. Pasang shijinani jata vihayo navani grinnati naro oparani tatha sharirani vihayo jirnanna annani sanjati navani dehi. Pashangshi, Bash means garments, Pashangshi. Jirnani, old and worn out. Jatha, justice. Vihayo, giving up. Navani, new garments. Grinnati, does accept. Naro, a man. Aparani, others. Tatha, in the same way, Sharirani, the bodies. Vihayo, giving up. Jirnani, old and useless. When Sharir, body becomes old and useless, one soul gives up. Onnani, different body, Sangjati, verily accepts. Navani, new sets. Dehi, the embodied. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Change of body by the atomic individual soul is an accepted fact. Even the modern scientists who do not believe in the existence of the soul, but at the same time cannot explain the source of energy from the heart, have to accept continuous changes of the body which appear from childhood to boyhood, and from boyhood to youth, and again from youth to old age. From old age, the change is transferred to another body. This has already been explained in a previous verse.
দশ মিনিট লাগবে স্টেশন
না তাহলে চলে যান।
কোথায় যাবে অ্যাড্রেসটা
7 মিনিট ক্লাস আছে তো করেন না মহারাজ
আপনি করে নেন
তো-
অসুবিধা নেই।
না স্টেশন যাবে না তো
স্টেশন তো যাবেন না
কতক্ষণ লাগবে? জাস্ট
স্টেশন তো যাবেন না ওই লোকেশনটা কোথায় কি অ্যাড্রেসটা দিয়েছে লোকেশনটা মারিয়ে দেখি
কি সিনেমা বলতে মাতাজি তো
হ্যাঁ।
মাতাজি
হোটেল নাম বললো
ওরা ফোন দেই না
না নাম তো আছে কোনার্ক হোটেল তাই তো বর্ধমান কোনার্ক হোটেল
Transference of the atomic individual soul is to another body is made possible by the grace of this person. The super soul fulfills the desire of the atomic soul as one friend fulfills the desire of another. The Vedas, like the Mundaka Upanishad, as well as Ch-2 Upanishad, compare the soul and the super soul to two friendly birds sitting on the same tree. One of the birds, the atomic soul, individual soul, is eating the fruit of the tree. And the other bird, Krishna is super soul, is simply watching his friend. Of these two birds, although they are the same in quality, one is captivated by the fruits of the material tree, while the other is simply witnessing the activities of his friend. Why? Because he has no interest of all this. Because he does not need this. Krishna is the witnessing bird and Arjuna is the eating bird. Although they are friends, one is still the master and the other is the servant. Forgetfulness of this relationship by the atomic soul is the cause of one's changing his position from one tree to another or from one body to another. The jeep soul is struggling very hard on the tree of the material body. But as soon as he agrees to accept the other bird as the supreme spiritual master, as Arjuna agreed to do by voluntarily surrendering unto Krishna for instruction, the subordinate bird immediately becomes free from all lamentation. Bito Shoko. Both the Mundaka Upanishad and Ch-2 Upanishad confirm this. Shamane Vikshe Purusho Nimagna Anishaya Shojati Mujjaman Jushtam Jada Pashyanti Annam Isham Oshya Mohimanam Iti Bito Shokaha. Although the two birds are in the same tree, the eating bird is fully engrossed with anxiety and moroseness as the enjoyer of the fruits of the tree. But if in some way or other the fruits he turns his face to his friend who is the Lord and knows his glories, at once the suffering bird becomes free from all anxieties. Arjun has now turned his face toward his eternal friend Krishna and is understanding the Bhagavad Gita from him. And thus, hearing from Krishna, he can understand the supreme glories of the Lord and be free from lamentation. Arjun is advised herein by the Lord not to lament for the bodily change of his old grandfather and his teacher. He should rather be happy to kill their bodies in the righteous fight so that they may be cleansed at once of all reactions from various bodily activities. One who lays down his life on the sacrificial altar or in the proper battlefield is at once cleansed of bodily reactions and promoted to a higher status of life. So there was no cause for Arjuna's lamentation. When we are reading, we may think, yes, theoretically we can accept. How we can accept practically? But at least we have to accept theoretically, then gradually understand. Like there is presence of air. How you can show it practically? There is air. Yes, gradually you can understand by the activities of it. This air, there is a leaves are moving, clouds are running. We cannot see the air, but we can see the activities of the air. In the same way, by seeing the presence of consciousness, we can understand that is soul. And that presence Also, the presence in one individual and presence in Supreme, there is different type of consciousness. One person is conscious about his body and someone is conscious of the whole universe. Some may say, oh, we have not seen that type of person. I may not have seen, but someone is there. Without someone, how it is happening, everything? So systematic. So through knowledge, you can understand. It is not that by reading Bhagavad Gita, we are able to see soul face by face in front of your eyes. By becoming the in chemical scientist, we cannot see, uh, uh, we cannot understand what is salt and sugar without tongue. I mean, with other instruments, without the tongue, we cannot separate either it is sweet or sour. The same way, through knowledge, we can understand the presence of soul. And for that, we should become receptive, faithful of the authority. Without that type of faith, it will not be understood. That is called, Bhagavad Gita said, Sangshatma Vinashyati. Oh, what is Krishna saying? This really something is there or not? If you don't believe, who is going to lose? Those who have believed that, they benefited. So by believing that, we are not losing anything other than getting benefit. Hare Krishna, we have reached our destination. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita as it is. Okay.